next to the firehouse. There was Jimmy's or something over there.
Yeah. You say that to a lot of hangar.
But it was dumpy compared to his shop. It was
Right.
nice.
Yeah. Well.
And these guys are going to tell you some stories. I said to Jimmy Talentino when I was getting these guys together, I said, come on down and tell one of them stories. You know, when you threw somebody through a window or off a roof? He said, they won't believe me, any. He said, there was different times. I said, you come and tell them stories. I said, you'll have another dozen guys to verify. So I'm going to start this off with letting Mike McCabe do his slideshow. Mike McCabe is the author of this book. That's fantastic.
That's a big show, I know.
You ready, Mike? We got to get out of the way?
I'm selling for over there. Did you have a thought?
Years ago, just a total fluke. I just started tattooing in the early 1980s, and I got an apartment, one of those like illegal sublet deals in New York City. It was on Spring Street, and it just happened to be right on the Bowery. I didn't really know too much about the Bowery. I mean, you kind of hear stories about the Bowery. I didn't have any idea of like this history, this tattoo history that the Bowery had. I used to walk to work every day up and down the Bowery, up into the East Village, downtown. And of course you see like the older guys who lived up in the hotels who had all the old tattoos from like being in the Navy or military. And in the back of my mind I always said, Jesus, you know, I wonder who did those tattoos and I wonder what that's all about. And then finally, you know, you'd see the same guy day after day and you'd be sitting there drinking beer or wine. And I finally just got up the nerve and I bought a couple of beers and I went over and I sat down and this guy's name is Dennis. He calls himself Dennis the Menace. And I said, you know, could I talk to you about your tattoos? And he kind of looked at me crazy and he said, well, what do you want to do that for, kid? And I said, well, I'm kind of interested in history, New York history, and maybe we can talk about it. And he told me that he had been tattooed by these two brothers on the Bowery many, many years ago. And I said, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I said, two brothers, what do you mean? He goes, yeah, the Moskowitz brothers. They used to tattoo down in Chinatown on the Bowery. I said, really, do you think those guys are still around? And he said, I have no idea. I don't remember who they were or whatever. So I decided to say, you know, I'm going to try to find these people and see if they'll talk with me. They're a little bit naive to think that. Because this is like, you know, the early 1980s before tattooing kind of popped and it became popular. And you know, you walk into an old tattoo shop, it's a very different scene than what you walk into today. Particularly if you walk into the Moskowitz brothers shop. So, luckily for me, I got a phone call from a guy who said that Brooklyn Blackie had just called him for some reason. And he gave me Blackie's number. I didn't really even know who Blackie was. But I said, let me give him a call. So I called out and said, hey, I'd like to speak to Blackie on the phone. He goes, well, who the hell is this? Who are you, kid? I said, my name is Mike McCabe. I'm interested in tattoo history. And there's this long pause at the other end of the phone. He's like, what are you talking about, tattoo history? What do you care about this stuff? And I said, I'm not even sure right now, but I wonder, could I get together and meet with you? And he was nice enough to give me his address, and I went up and I met with Blackie. And I sat down for like 2 or 3 hours, got his oral history from him. He had studied with Wagner. He had studied on the Bowery, he studied with Red Cloud over in Sand Street. And once I had kind of gotten Blackie's support, when I went around and mentioned Blackie's name to these other gentlemen, what was going on? I'm going to try to hit the forward thing.
Go on.
Yeah, so, you know, what you find out, or what I found out immediately, was that there was like this whole history of tattooing on the Bowery, and as we all know now, because many people have become interested in it on their own, electric tattooing was invented on the Bowery in New York City in the late 1800s, like maybe 1895, something like that. Samuel O'Reilly kind of took a machine. Thomas Edison, who was over in Jersey, had invented like an electric engraving pen. O'Reilly, being an ambitious guy, took the engraving pen, modified it a little bit so that it would hold some ink, and he invented the first electric rotary style tattoo machine on the Bowery. that part from what I continued along my efforts. And what starts kicking out is little aspects of, what's called material history. In other words, like a business card, like Millie Holt's business card. Or like this is one of Blackie's tattoo machines. So little parts of the history start to turn up. And I became more enthusiastic, and then got another phone number from somebody, and start just chasing down these leads. And then, of course, Charlie Wagner's name kicked out.
Your butt.
And you just keep going on like that. What was interesting to me about the project and about meeting these old tattoo guys, these historical tattoo guys, is that
I don't think which, maybe,
and he was nice enough to let me come down to Philadelphia and interview him. So you kind of reminisced about getting the first tattoo in the bar.
And he probably did stumble over me. But he said, well, Stanley never heard the word "does it hurt," He beat the guy up before he came. I have a little sad news. Brooklyn Blackie died, or he would have been here. One of the last things he said to me was, "If he ain't dead, he beat me." And Coney Island Freddie couldn't make it. He has problems with some of his teenage children, as anybody with teenage children knows. And Tony the Pirate didn't make it. I have 8 crazy men here, but Tony the Pirate was the craziest of us all. And he's being medicated. Medicated. But so really the Coney Island days, it was great, but the 2 great guys, Coney Island Freddie and Brooklyn Blackie, ain't here. But Tony Polito knows a lot about Coney Island. He can tell you where the merry-go-round was, but they moved it. Tell them a few stories, Tony.
I used to Do I got the right button? Yeah. You got it. When I first went to Coney Island to see Eddie, he was around 21 years old, 22. I was a little young, I was about 17. He rented was a custard stand. The guy moved out, it was about 1980, and I remember the shop very vivid because he never had to clean the walls. The walls were tiled. We had to go over it with a rag, and everything was clean. When I walked in there, we had, if you remember, Jack Dracula. Jack Dracula used to cut stencils and flash for him, but that was a hell of a spot he had. Until he was there about a very short time, about a year and a half, until November 1st, 1961, when they outlawed it. But the shop was a gold mine, even though around the corner there was 3 more tattoo shops in Coney Island. But there was weekends that he had there that he was open just on the weekend, and he hasn't had 1 customer in 26 weekends. Because he was open in the wintertime. Wow. And today, on my weekends in my place, we tattooed them like cattle. They come in there, we do one right after another one. On the summer weekends, I have 3 people working, and we do the tattoos for $35, knowing that we might be the highest paid tattooer in New York City, because for $35, it's an elaborate price to get tattooed because nobody's charging $35. But if you can apply an outline on it in 3 minutes and have somebody color it, in another 2 minutes or 3 minutes, have everything ready, that's $35 in 5 minutes. Now times that by an hour. So now, you're up to $400 an hour and times that by 8. And by doing all these people, you speculate what people on the street would you work. Because remember one thing in life, no matter how rich or poor you are, everybody looks for a bargain. And the next thing, not only does everybody look for a bargain, but nobody wants to wait. It could be in any industry, but in the tattoo trade, they don't want to wait. So if you're going to work on a tattoo and get $200 for an hour, and it's going to take you 3 hours, you could kiss the people that are waiting there goodbye. You're gonna have 1,000 people. When Eddie was in Coney Island, it was Coney Island at the time. Today, it's all torn down, half of it. The only thing there is Nathan's Famous. There's no more anything. There was a Luna Park there. And in them days, if you bought $3, you stood the whole day there on the beach. You ate, you went on the rides, you played games, and you could even get a tattoo for 75 cents. You could have your name done for $1 or 75 cents. Today, you go down there, you can't even buy a hot dog for, you're gonna have 2 hot dogs and maybe a soda for $5. Well, when Eddie was there, he was there a short time, it was about the hottest spot in New York City. Well, really a break spot. But now, you could open up there, and I don't think, I mean, I feel there's a tattoo shop on every block you're not gonna make.
That's funny. And Blackie was as well. It has a lot to do with the black ink. And that's what Blackie got his name from that, obviously. So when I was talking with Blackie, I said, can you describe what a tattoo should look like? And Blackie says, I used a lot of black. I used to shade them. I used to make them look like what they're supposed to look like, not just a decal. Today they go for a nice clean outline and a lot of color. There's no shading for the simple reason that 99% of them can't shade. If you shade in black and over black it, then the whole design is destroyed. Anybody in a matter of time can learn how to put on an outline, separate the colors. Anybody can do that. But to learn how to put on a tattoo on, take a ship for example, so shade in all the sails, shade the bow and make it look round. That's what it takes. You gotta have the knowledge. You gotta know how to use the ink. And I think, maybe I'll ask Tony, what do you think of a traditional tattoo, Tony? Just hearing that, like the way Blackie was talking about using the ink. How would you, because you're one of the people who really, I mean, your style is the traditional New York style. How would you talk about using black ink to make a tattoo look, make it pop, to make it look like it's solid on the skin?
Well, the black is going to last. The black is going to last. Unfortunately, even if the colors are put in good, they're going to last maybe 30 years. 25, 30 years, and the black shading stays. But you know by being tattooers that even if you're, unfortunately, if you're not a tattoo artist, and you just not a tattoo, and you put 1,000,000 colors in the tattoo, 1,000,000 colors in it, they're going to like it just as good as the guy that knows how to tattoo. Like there's people that come down and watch me in the tattoo shop, tattooers that could probably draw onion rings around me. They could tattoo French fried onion rings around me. But when I get done, after the day is over, they're asking me how you did it. They're asking me, gee, you know, I'm sitting over here and I'm waiting for somebody to come in and spend $300. He says, and you don't get people. I mean, the only people that really want this type of work that appreciate it is myself, other tattooers and fans. But the people stories.
What?
You guys all ran across the patch. You got support a long line.
No, Stanley, you got a Stanley story.
Oh, no, I think that was a regular tattoo.
Up to your mouth, Stanley.
You gotta do it this way. This way. What I know about it.
What's in the ear?
Patchy Harry, you know, he was a showman, you know, he was a tattooer of the Bowery. When there was no business, you know, he had his little coffin, you know, the smallest dog in the world, that's how he made a few bucks.
Put that to your
There
mouth.
was loads of tattooists that days too. You know, the pie was cut up at that time. So you had to make money, you know. Patchy Harry had this little weenie in a coffin, you know, 25 cents, you know, to see. You know, so he could pay his rent. That's as much as I know about him. Never seen any of it.
Ronnie D'Aquila, he supplied many of the pictures that are in this book. He's a little bit of a historian himself. And how long have you been tattooing, Tony?
27 years. 27 years.
A real nice man. He helped us all. Lou Rubino. I know Lou Rubino since he's 17 years old. Lou Rubino and I met in a bar. We were both 17 years old. We were both in love with the barmaid. He had his boys, I had my boys. A barroom fight broke out. Louis just learned I was going to work for Brooklyn Blackie. He was tattooing out of his house like I was. We started talking tattooing. The bar was getting wrecked. A guy fell into the jukebox and Fats Domino started singing Blueberry Hill. I was on parole working for Brooklyn Blackie, and the parole officer said I couldn't work there, and all the parolees had Brooklyn Blackie's business card. That wasn't good. My father helped me open a tattoo shop in Rockaway. It was an Irish tattoo. Big, large pavilions, 4 of them on the corners. Drunken Irishmen, Friday and Saturday nights, throwing each other through the windows. My father says, Louie, you come with Eddie, you help Eddie, you make sure Eddie don't get in any trouble. My poor father didn't know Louie was worse than I. On opening day there, Louie was the doorman. He had his foot up on the door, and I was the tattooer. 3 big Irishmen come in, kick Louie's leg down, and Louie said, you can't go in there. I said, who are you? He said, I'm the bouncer. They wanted to see if he could bounce. The next day, Louie says, you be the doorman. How long did we tattoo, Louie?
43 years.
Jimmy Colantuno. There was 2 Colantuno brothers. Mike was the crazy one. That's what Jimmy says. Jimmy threw a man through the plate glass window. His brother thought he washed the window. He's got some neat stories. You're gonna love all these guys' accents. How long you been tattooing, Jimmy?
Well, I'm 63. I started when I was 13.
Walter Moskowitz, 1/2 of the Bowery Boy. My first meeting with Walter Moskowitz, I was a young 17, 18, walking around the Bowery looking for the tattoo shops. I've seen pictures where there were dozens of them in a row. Round and around the block I went. I found a little barber shop with 2 old, yellow, faded, crinkling up pieces of flash in the window. I walked around. I ended up in Chinatown, back to Chinatown, and out by the Bowery, right in front of Stanley and Wallace Tattoo Shop. They designed it that way. My 3rd trip past, Wallace standing in the doorway said, you looking for the tattoo? He's my age. Looking for the tattoo shop, kid? Yeah. He smacked me in the head. He said, you found it. I asked him to put 2 birds on my chest. I seen them on the wall. They were $2.50 each. I handed him a $10 bill. He said, thanks. I said, $2.50 each, that's $5. I get $5 back. He smacked me in the head again. He said, it's double on your chest. You should know that. Tony Polito, one of the fastest tattoo artists I've ever seen. He wants to rent that little custard stand that I was in Coney Island. He keeps looking. He says, as soon as the gypsy moves out, he's moving in. How long you been tattooing?
41 years.
How many years you been tattooing?
It's almost 47 years.
Yeah, it's a big...
The king. Stanley Moskowitz, the other half of the Bowery. I wish Coney Island Freddy was here right now, because we used to go down to visit the Moskowitz brothers every so often. We've never gone in there where Stanley wasn't beating somebody, beating them. Why did you beat these people?
To save my own life.
One day I went in to visit and Stanley has his hand all bandaged up. I said, what happened? He said, oh, some guy was fucking with my brother, you know, and I was shaving the guy, and I hit him with the razor, and I hit him so hard, the razor closed, and almost cut my hand. Look at the blood all over the place. I said, Paula, why don't you wipe the blood off? He said, no, it matches the blood on this side. How long you been tattooing, Stanley?
54 years.
Tony Danessa, the new kid on the block. He came right to New York. He came from Canada. He opened a tattoo shop. He paid the cops off to take the drunks away after he beat them to death. I seen him one day slip some money in a guy's sock, called the cop and said, the money's in his sock, get rid of it. How long you been tattooing, Tony?
41 years.
Say it again.
41 years.
And all of these guys, with the exception of Ronnie here, were tattooing in New York when they closed New York. It was a frightening feeling. You're in business one day, what am I going to do tomorrow? And you hear the stories of what each one of these guys did. Tony Danessa said, fuck 'em. He put shades up on his window and drew the flash on the back of the shades. Pulled them down. The customer could see what they want, lock the door, tattoo them, pull up the shade. No tattoo shop here. They teamed up with Stanley and Waller, and they ran a shuttle service. They opened a tattoo shop in Long Island where it was legal in Nassau County, and they would park cars in front of their shops and take turns driving them out to the island and tattooing.
Unchest. And then
We moved to Village, Christmas Street. We shot you come here.
He moved to Greenwich Village. I went to a Greenwich Village party at the Mussolini Brothers True one time. I come in at the party, they got this guy balls ass naked on the table. One's drawing on his ass, one's drawing on his neck. Eddie, glad to see you. Get a machine and start on his leg over there. Tell that story when the guy chased me down the street.
you had to see it to believe it.
Up to you now.
Now Eddie has a spider tattoo in a very, very private place. Now we had this photographer who was a little... He only wanted to take a picture of that spider. So I could see Eddie. He was after him, and Eddie was running for his life up the block. This guy was on his ass with that camera. Even to the
Hey, Wall, get that thing in your mouth.
That's a good 40, oh, I'd say at least 40 years. I can still think of that, fall off the chair laughing. Just stop.
What happened? You run out of story?
It's been so long since I've seen it myself.
What did she say?
We couldn't hear it. She snapped the mic. Some about how long it was.
Save the laying down on a job.
Hey, Louis, tell a few stories about the weather. Hey, Louis worked everywhere. But me and Louis hung around together since we were 17 years old. He was my bodyguard. He still is.
Yeah.
Tough kid. Well, one day we went to some kind of a party in Manhattan, and Jimmy's brother Mike was there. Mike, every time I see Mike, there's a picture in this book of Mike sitting there tattooing. I remember this, you know, I'm standing there and I look at Mike and I say, how you doing, Mike? Rah! He come out of that chair, always wanted to kill me. I said, what's wrong with this guy? Me and Louie are at a party. Here comes Mike. Rah! Again. Louie starts smacking me. Jimmy pulls Mike over. He said, what the hell's the matter with you? Tell that story, Louie, of the subway. This is a nice story. I almost went to prison forever because of this.
Well, we were on a subway, well, I forget, but I think I fixed Eddie up with a date for the night. That was a disaster.
Was me to fix you up.
Oh, is that what it was? So we were on a train coming back, and a war broke out on the train, and I wound up on the stop. So and the doors open. I wound up outside. I got stabbed a couple of times. There was 2 guys with stilettos out there. So I said, well, I guess this is it, you know, what do you do? You know, I mean, doors closed, everybody was back in the train, and I was out there with another guy, and the guy froze, and I said, well, this is it. It's either we get them or they get us, but they have the knives. I said, well, you know, so I went for them, and I got a few holes punched in me and what. I wound up in the hospital, and it was pretty crazy. But we had a lot of crazy times, you know. I used to go visit Eddie, you know. When they put us out in '61, Eddie used to say to me, if I can't tattoo no more, I have a little pill, I have a cyanide pill I'm gonna take. I said, Eddie, you gotta be kidding me. No, I'm taking it, he said. So I didn't hear from him for a while. And I thought maybe he did take it, because, you know, I didn't know him as Philadelphia Eddie. I mean, you guys may know him as Philadelphia Eddie, but he's a New York boy. He comes from our town. All right? And we knew him as Crazy Eddie. He's even got it on his back. See, he don't say Philadelphia Eddie on his back, because he's really New York tonnage. I knew him when he was a little skinny, scrawny kid.
That's enough, Louie.
All right? And he used to say, here's what he used to do, his favorite thing with me. Meet me over here. I said, okay. I go to the bar. Of course, where am I going to meet him? But in the bar. So he says, hey, look, come on over. We sit down at the bar. He orders a drink. We order a couple of drinks. He walks away. He surveys the bar. He walks away, leaves me there. And then he walks down the end of the bar, and there's 3 guys sitting there, and he goes, see that guy down the end of the bar? He said he could kick the shit out of all 3 of you at the same time, right? And then he was serious. He'd say, really, you know what? And he'd wait till I'd be out there with the 3 guys, seeing if I win or not, you know? He made a lot of money.
That's enough. He didn't tell you that subway story properly. He said when a war broke out, and in the 50s, you couldn't go drinking without having a fight in the bar. It was a common, natural thing. On the subway, Louis fucks with somebody, blames me. The fight starts. He steps out of the train and waves goodbye. Well, maybe it was me that stepped out of the train. But anyway, the next day I'm at home and the police come. They want to take me for a lineup. I said, Louis, what the fuck did you do, Louis? Somebody got killed on this train. A little old lady recognizes us because of our tattoos. Picks us out in the lineup like, Louis, the fuck did you do to us now? Jimmy Colantuno. Tell us a story.
I've been around a long time with tattooing. I met that guy when he was a young kid.
See you, man.
Across the
Listen
street,
to this guy's voice.
across the street from the Brooklyn Navy Yard. His tattoo shop was about 4 foot wide, 40 foot long. So it looked like he was going through a tunnel to get to his little bedroom. But we've been friends ever since. The only thing I regret, my father was a tattoo artist with Charlie Layton as a kid. He never lived to see this book made. My kid brother died, 47 years old. Never seen this book. And another thing I regret,
Say him out, Jimmy.
there's a lot of people around that
Get 'em
I
out. Get 'em
knew through years by name only. And the people, one of them walked up to me the other night and said hello and shook my hand. I never recognized him, because the last time I seen him on television, he had lamb chops and a big head of hair. Now, this other was sitting right back there, God bless him. And I hope he spends another 50 years in the business. There's another man, Hank Martin, that I knew for many, many, many years. But the man that really helped me along, and he's not doing too well, is in California, was Sailor Barnes. He was a friend. He snuck my first 2 tattoo machines illegally in the barracks of Fort Dix Army Post. I was a kid. I was tattooing while my sergeant was watching the window to hand for the money. And at that time, a name with color with 2 hearts or 2 stars was $1. Today, I got a lot of... God, we would have been millionaires, boys. What do we forget in our lives, right or wrong? Isn't that thing? Where the hell did we lose it all? But I'll tell you one thing. We're grateful to every tattoo artist today because we're the honored ones that opened the door for them.
Through the door.
My last shop, before I got checked in, was on 48th Street, 8th Avenue, Manhattan. Eddie told me it was kill or be killed. We were the only tattoo artists that kept the ball peen hammer near the chair. Because the people that came into shops weren't like you people. They looked to hurt you. They looked to hurt you. They ask you how much is that picture, you give them a price. They want to be jumped. I'm heavy now. I was a little meatball. I was skinny when I was a kid. So it was the fight. Yeah, I threw them through the windows. After they pulled the gun on me. Okay? We played the game. We played the game hard. But I'll tell you something.
What?
Tattooing is hard. It's no bullshit. It's not some dingbat with a picture on him. It's someone that knows what he got and what he wants. Look at me. All my years, I don't have no sleeves on my arms because I got the old shit. And I'll tell you, I'm proud of everyone I got on me and the people that put them on me.
Imagine somebody that's over for 25 cents. You're trying to make $1 or 2, and if they came into you and you told them $3, they want to kill you. You tell you the guy next block is only charging 50 cents a quarter. Up there, you don't want to charge this. At least to tell them, look, that line, I always had 40 or 50 people waiting for it. And basically, just to get marked up. That's all they wanted. You got today's money. It wasn't as cheap as people, thought it really was. You have to understand the times. Now, I'll tell you about tattooing on the Bowery. I don't know if anybody in here ever went to the Bowery in New York City. I'll tell you how it looked in the 1950s. Imagine in a place that had a roof, a street that had a roof over it. We had what was called the 3rd Avenue elevated train line. And that ran all the way uptown, all the way down to Chatham Square with the Bowery.
Everything up to your mouth.
You never saw the sun. The brightest sunny summer day, all you had was rays coming through. So it was really a weird world. It was a world unto itself. People would come from all neighboring towns in Connecticut and New Jersey, and this was the place where they were going to raise hell. They had tons of bars, one after the other, and honky-tonk joints and Chinese gambling places. It was really a surreal type of a world the Bowery was. We were in there tattooing, and when you have people that come to play and they're drunk, they want to get tattooed. It was like the Barbary Coast. All hell would break loose in a place like that. And you'd get bands of guys from different towns. And these were people that were heavily tattooed, loved to get tattooed, but they were basically there to raise hell. And we were there to take all this. And you had to really, if you wanted to make a living in the tattoo business, this is how you had to exist in that type of world. And I would say Tony here, was never tattooed on the Bowery, but he had also a place with very similar type of clientele. And it was a little suffering type of a business. You had to really love to do the tattooing and want to make a living in it to try to exist in this type of a business in those days.
Okay.
And today, it's a different world. The people getting tattooed and doing it is artistic, and they really have the love for the art and the work. And just
Well, hey, tell us about that, you gentlemen.
This guy, he was called the Human Autograph from Ripley's Believe It or Not. His entire body was covered with names. Famous baseball players, all kinds of athletic figures. Even if he met you in a bar, he got to talk to you and he liked you, he'd come in, go to the local tattoo shop and have your name tattooed on his body. Every place on his body was all names, except for his ding-dong. And he worked for us, and he was a very colorful character, and he used to be very good and hold customers. Said we couldn't get there on time, I had to leave early, and we would call up Dick, or he would call us, and he'd say, come on, get down, I can't hold these guys anymore, I already have all my clothes off. They're looking up my ass and my dick. And come on, there's 40 guys waiting here to get tattooed, and they're looking to leave. I can't talk anymore, I'm already talking to them for 4 or 5 hours. And all I says, we're on our way. Just keep going. Yeah.
So I don't know if any of you knew Millie Hull personally, but excellent. Well, how did she survive in that world? How did a woman survive? Did she have to like beat people up too?
About Millie Hull,
Good too.
she was more in my father's time and Charlie Wagner's time. I understand she was a very tough girl, very good tattoo artist. And she had to treat her men friends very good also, so she got along terrific with everybody.
The overtime.
Oh, one of those them days. Anybody else want to know what the Bowery tattooing was? As far as tattooing in that section in New York City, I don't know of any other women that did the tattoo work aside from Millie, but there were a lot of women that were getting completely tattooed, very heavily tattooed. Today it's very common, but in them days, women, you can understand in the 20s and 30s Depression time, you couldn't really go out and make much money, so people would get themselves all tattooed, travel with carnivals and circuses as sort of oddities. Not oddities anymore, but in them days it really was. And that's how they went around and made a good living and saw the world.
Well, Rogers told me, though, that he had a really excellent life during the Depression because the tattoo artists actually were making money. Is that true?
Depression time, I don't believe anybody was.
He said compared to everybody else, they were living really well.
Well, that's possible. It's possible they could have made a living traveling.
I thought that.
Nobody made
You buy a pair of pants, you know, they're all ripped up, you know, it's just little pockets are good, you know. Spend money, low. But he trumped the price when he was drunk, you know, he couldn't see what he was doing. You know, he'd do a heart for the guy, put like an arrow coming in, and a dagger coming out. And, you know, he'd get drunk, and the guys were drunk, and for the lousy quarter, they wouldn't even want to pay him the quarter. You know what I mean? They go drunk and they cheat him out of leaving the stuff water. You know? He was like a devil, like toward the end. You know? Charlie. He was a hell of a guy when he was young, though. He had all them women he tattooed from head to toe years ago.
Great artist.
You know, those days.
I don't know if any of you ever really heard of Charlie Wagner.
Oh, yeah.
But if you look in the patent office in 1923, he actually has the patent of the modern tattoo machine that we all use today. Charlie Wagner. Percy Waters and Charlie Wagner. Percy Waters, Charlie Wagner. You'll see their names, U.S. Patent Office, modern tattoo machine. Riley had the original, but that was not the machine that we use today. The actual machine, the modern machine, was Charlie Wagner's invention. So I guess we owe him something.
I'm not Dominic Chance.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Dominic Chance, I'm gonna give you that new Dominic Chance very, very well. Tell him about it.
When I met Dominic, it was in Manhattan at the Dixie Hotel. It used to be a bus station. Dominic loved his women. God bless him. Okay? And Dominic always had an eyebrow pencil. And by no means was he a fag. That was his art. He drew on your arm.
Lay him out, Jimmy.
He drew on your arm with that pencil. You understand? And I went to work for him on 48th Street and 8th Avenue across the street from Tony. Remember Tony, the Broad Hotel? See, I'm not an entertainer, as you can see. I'm a bullshitter, but not an entertainer, okay? That's what we try to do.
He's Italian. He talks like this. He's
Okay, I forgot my pepperoni around my neck. But I'll tell you something. The younger generation, the tattoo artists, you're doing a hell of a job.
Don't make us cry again.
No, we're proud of you. We are proud of you.
We're proud of you.
Now, anybody that bought or got Mike McCabe's book, on 106 page, there's a man with his whole chest done. That was my father when he was 21 years of age.
Yeah.
He worked with Charlie Wagner. He paid, he had, if you look good at the picture, an eagle from shoulder to shoulder, the Italian and the American flag, and a clipper ship on his breast and all. One day, he laid in bed with a fever for a week, and my grandmother beat him with a broom handle. Okay? He was completely covered.
Wow.
But I'll tell you, and believe it, for that tattoo on his chest, he paid, for that, a shoe shine and a haircut, $1 for Charlie Wagner.
Wow.
There it is. Thank you very much.
Wow. You can't get too drunk here, you end up on a ship in Hong Kong. But free lunch, I mean, hard-boiled eggs, little sandwiches, pickles, pig's feet, buy a nickel glass of beer, big frosty mug for a nickel, free lunch. People out on the street, they didn't want to work. Why should you work? You borrow a nickel, you live all day. You know, sleep in a flop house for 10 cents a night. It was very interesting as young kids. I'm going to let Ronnie say a few words. He came around a little bit longer, a little bit later than the rest of us, but he was very good friends with Coney Island Freddie, and he came around and visited us all, took pictures. Many of them pictures are in the book. Ronnie, tell us a little bit of story. Ronnie would like to see things back into those days. Ronnie resists change. Bonnie Delaquella.
Well, thank you. I don't know if all of you understand that I don't think there's any group of tattooers in the world that are left that all work from the same era in the same city, which is right in front of you right here. Which is amazing that they're still here and you're talking to them all, which years back just to get to go see Stanley and Walter to me was like, it was a high in itself just to talk with them. And when Mike got on this project, he asked me about, how should I talk to this one and that one. I said, well, when you talk to Stanley and Walter, you better tell them the straight scoop of what you intend, otherwise they're going to throw you out on your ass. And I gave him that guidance to whoever you had to talk to. These are men that you have to show respect, and not that you're just trying to game on them, and he did a very good job on it.
Yeah.
Talk about Blackie, right? This is a picture of Brooklyn Blackie here. And one thing that I've always found really interesting is every time I ever mentioned Blackie's name, everybody had such respect, almost like reverence for Brooklyn Blackie. I run into people in the supermarket and I'll say, it looks like an older guy, and I say, did you get that stuff in Coney Island? Brooklyn Blackie do that? And they'll always go, yeah, Blackie did it. He was such a nice guy. Why did Blackie have the reputation he did? What was it about? I've always found that really interesting.
Yeah, you should.
Well, before Blackie, there was One-Eyed Max Peltz, who used to be a boxer. And he used to tattoo with one eye, looking at the TV that he had. With his good eye. He only had one eye. Remember, Eddie? You remember all that? Jesus. But when Blackie came along, Blackie was the only guy that had an all-year-round shop. And that's what really made Blackie, stand out. He was like, because nobody, it used to be, we had, just boards, you had boards on the thing.
Brooklyn Blackie took 25 years old when I was 18 years old. Filled out a t-shirt with his barrel chest and his huge arms. Nice wavy black hair. Bend railroad spikes. Tough man.
Good. Okay. It has, yes, that's good. That's it.
Now you talk about railroad spikes, I gotta say. Mikey Calantuno, Jimmy's brother, we were all close. Jimmy, Mikey, I know his mom, I'm sorry to hear his mom just passed away. I was so looking forward to seeing his mom again. She loved me, he'll tell you. We were all family, We tattooed on Green and Evergreen. She had a building and candy store. She was the toughest woman I ever met in my life. She could knock anybody out with one punch. And Jimmy will tell you. And Jimmy's brother, Mikey, well, I've been around this planet a little while, but I ain't never met anybody as tough as him. And if you look in the book, you'll see his brother, Mikey. He wears black rimmed glasses. He looks like a pushover. And I tell you, this guy has got a history. Unbelievable. I could tell you stories about him. Mikey and I are motoring down the city somewhere in this brand new caddy. All right, and it was in the, what was that, 50 something? And anyway, the guy bumps into the back of the car. Mikey chased the guy for about 10 miles till he caught him. The guy finally, he cut him off and he got out of the car, went into the trunk. He was getting something out of the trunk. Mikey jumped out of the car, went in the trunk with the guy. The days, the big caddies had the big trunks, the 3-body ones, So he's in there, and he comes out with the guy's ear in his mouth. It's unbelievable. I mean, this guy was unbelievable. And Dominic Chance and, all the guys from...
Dominic Chance's brother bit a guy's nose off. This was a cannibalism.
He brought his tattoo machines in one nice sunny day, where you see it come through the overhead tree, And he says, can you fix these tattoo machines up? So we looked them over. Where's the tools? The tools were pencils reamed out. That was tools. How the hell can you do anything? That's the first time we met him.
But
He was a wild man.
When I worked with Dominic Chance, we had a trap door in the floor. You lift it up. When he would beat somebody up, he'd throw him down the trap door, so we'd bury him right there. He'd open the trap door and say, "You all right down there? If you'd be good, we'll let you out still." He went down to fuck with Stanley. I'm gonna come back and say, "Listen, them Valkyrie guys are crazy. We better listen to them." Anybody got a story they'd like to say it?
Hired me to open up two Rockaways.
Never. You rocked your goddamn things, too.
I never tattooed before.
There's a wild bunch out there.
Was
It's real nice, peaceful town.
Well, I don't know. What? I don't know. Wait, I can tell them.
You want to tell them?
About opening a shop in those days.
That's it. Tell them about that.
Okay, when I opened the shop, I had these guys come around, protection agency, come in there and want payoffs, you know, to stay open, get the buck out of the shop. That night, garbage can through the window, that was on 48 when I opened. But like I said, I just happened to know people. I went down there to their office with my friend, shotgun. And that's the way you had to work. Threaten them next time a garbage can come to their goddamn hotel. You're finished. These were the West Side Westies, if you ever heard of them. Right?
Coffee.
Went down there, threatened them just like that's how you had to stay open.
Too many of them for to be a bully. They were all bullies. They threw when he opened up, they threw a garbage can through his window. He killed the guy, put him in a garbage can, and threw it back out. Called the cop, put $20 in his sock, take him away.
It's like taking your arm away, you know? I didn't have no experience at anything. That was it. What the hell? What did I do? Work out in a carpenter shop and everything tattooing? You gotta experience it when they take away your life. I enjoyed tattooing. That just killed me.
And the cops weren't just so much thieves as they're thieves.
Yeah, but I hung around with these cops, they were my friends.
He hung around with the thieves.
They were the thieves.
But they let me open. They closed the shops in November. I was open a year later because they kept me open until that big stink in there and they give me a summons. I was the first one to get the summons in New York. And that's how I closed, a year after they closed. And that's what I dealt with Stanley and Walter.
Tony, weren't you on the cover of the New York?
That was something I put on there at the end, November the 1st, there's...
What? Yeah.
Yeah.
I had never, because I didn't really know so much, but I remember going to the New York Times Index where you can kind of, anybody could, you just go to the library and you look up tattooing in the index and they have all these articles. And so I looked and I saw that article and then that was the first time that I actually...
That was the first time the Times ever had anything like that.
Yeah, that was like 61. So.
Where'd you go after they closed?
No,
Well, I stayed around New York. I was with Stanley and Walter for a while. Then I tattooed my friends. Then I stopped for about a year or two. I went to school to learn TV work, repairing TVs. Then I moved to Canada. And how I said, this is just about the time you started to read about tattooing, the magazines coming up. So I opened up a shop up there, and that's been open there for 25 years, 26 years in Canada.
The memories these guys brought back to me when I called them all, telling them what we wanted to do here. I called Tony, he says it's 40 degrees below zero where he is. He said I went outside and instantly I got a headache.
Oh my God.
He called Stanley. Stanley says, we'll go back inside. Hey guys, we're going to come back to all of us, but we got a special guest here. The oldest living tattoo artist on the planet Earth. Jack You're all going to be sorry when I hand this microphone to him. Old people like to talk. Tell him a story, Jack. Tell him a story of how many people you tattooed, how much money you made in a weekend, and when you were the only guy within 300 miles. Tell some of them stories.
Well, I can tell one especially good story. I like to tell this one special story because Suzanne Foster bought the first 2 machines that I ever made. She had something looking number 2.
I got it.
So anyway, I can tell a good story about 300 miles. Tucson, Arizona. I pulled into town on a bicycle pulling a wagon in 1929. And I pulled under the only red light, the only light, and it was red, in the town, and it was from the marshal's office. Now, the marshal's office in Tucson, Texas at that time was a bar next door, a whorehouse next door to that, and the marshal's office in between. So, anyway, I tattooed under that light. I did a great big tattoo for a nickel. 5 cents. And that was a high dollar then. And then the marshal come and arrested me, put me in jail. Well, first he took me across the street and he fed me. And he put me back and put me in the jail for the night. The next morning he took me out of jail, took me across the street and fed me again, and took me down to the business office, which was 2 doors more down, and bought me a license. Cost $2.50. And that was a U.S. Marshal's license. And I can tattoo any place in the United States on that license.
Wow.
Because he was a U.S. Marshal. And I've lost that. Well, I've lost a lot of good tracks. But while I was there in Tucson, I did pretty good. I made about $4 or $5. I was there a couple of weeks. And that was pretty good money. But I lucked out pretty good because the marshal would jail me every night and feed me. I was in pretty good shape there. Then after I left there, I went on down to Arizona, New Mexico, and then New Orleans. I was in New Orleans for a long time. New Orleans is where I made the money. And back in the old gangster days, I know a lot of these fellas still around, remember them. I remember a lot of the names I won't even mention. But I worked down there, and tattooed, and made nothing but bucks. And I was there almost a year. And in that year, I made $2,000 clear. I saved $2,000 in a year's time. And I'm still making my rounds on my bicycle pulling my wagon. I covered 38 states in 7 years. And when I ended up back in Seattle, Washington, in my parents' house, I had $3,500 bills in my pocket. Because I slept with my bike in a wagon. I didn't sleep in, I slept out. And I saved every dime I made, and hoboed it, like, so to speak. And I had a bucket out of a coffee can that I used for my rinse bucket. And it has more hard lines in it you can shake a stick at. Because I never washed the bucket. All I did was throw the trash down in the bucket. And he would sit all night, and then the next morning I'd throw it out. And I guess I must have had 10 or 15 good hard lines in it. And then I see in Missoula, Montana, grabbed a baseball bat. He said, "You little asshole, you're just trying to mooch off of us." And he started towards me with the bat, and I got on my bike and I moved down a few feet. And I said, "Look at here, you motherfuckers. I came to help you. Now, you never helped me except beat me with baseball bats and stove wood. So with that, I left and I went to Portland, Oregon. And in Portland, I stayed 21 years, but I left in every snow. When the snow coming about mid-November, I'm packed and ready to roll. And I head south. In fact, my old route, you know, back as far as New Orleans and then back around. But I really, I think in my lifetime, I really believe that I've made more than $2 million tattooing. I didn't count my other stuff I used to do. But I believe that I really made that.
Jack really
He
did.
wasted it all. Frankie, Cameron, Jason, the memories this guy's got.
Jack, you went 37 states on a bicycle.
Yes, ma'am. But I sold newspapers for 2 years in Seattle. And some weekends I would go to Sears Roebuck and pay 41 cents a layaway. Got payments for whatever I could afford. And it took me 2 years to buy the bicycle and the wagon. And then
Jack, you're finishing building the bathroom.
And the old man's invention.
He didn't hear you. I didn't either. You remember that one?
No.
I don't know that.
No, I got people here to remember a lot of 36 about me. That's Paul Phillips is like. Well, one thing that I did want to mention, that I'm very proud to say, that I've been tattooed for 70 years.
Fighter. Fighter.
Okay.
And a tattoo convention 3-4 years ago, Jack Armstrong was putting something, a bulldog on a guy's chest. I'm standing there admiring it. He said, how do you like that? And I said, beautiful. Same shit I used to do 50 years ago, but instead of $2, I'm getting 100.
And another thing I like to say, I'm very proud to announce that June 3rd, this year, I will be 80 years old.
We got you this little plaque, and we thank you, we all thank you. You made us world famous. Thank you. Hey, Ed, Mommy, thank you. Want to tell a few stories? I know some stories about Ed Hardy.
You know, I thank Eddie and everybody here, and especially all these great guys. It was fantastic for me to get to meet them through Mike. I've met Stanley and Walter before, and met Tony. I've been out to Tony's shop and seen the blur of activity there. And but it's a real honor to be in the same room with these guys and to the legacy that they pass on to everybody. I know a lot of the stories are about blood and thunder, and that's definitely part of it. But a lot of it was just surviving and making life on their own terms in a society that maybe looked down on them, but they carved what I regard as like a true American spirit of going out and doing it on your own, following the course, and taking care of themselves, and not relying on a whole bunch of other everybody else to do everything for you. And I think it's a quality of life in our country and in the world that's kind of ebbing away today. And these guys stand for something very important. So.
Armstrong's won many awards in his career. Jack Armstrong's a wonderful man. We thank you, my friend, for coming and sharing some stories. Stand down on your pictures. Thanks for your support. Thanks for being my friend for 100 years. When he was a 17-year-old kid, Jesus, look what he did. Thanks. Jimmy Colantino, Jesus Christ. Did you guys hear his voice? Say something, Jim.
I want you all to know something. He's not a friend, he's a brother.
Thank you. Hey, thank you, my friend. Thank you.
Cry.
Yeah, I don't cry.
Now I know who's Walter, who's Stanley.
I don't know which is
I do.
which. Hey, Walter, my friend. And Waller and Stanley came through the doorway. I was there to greet him. Waller says, "How you doing, kid?" and smacked me. Tony Polito, my friend. Oh, Tony looked at came off to be with us today. Tony could have got this friend through something. The first out. Thanks, Tony. Stanley, I can't say enough for you, so I ain't gonna say nothing. Tony Vanessa, my friend. I went to visit him in Canada. Me and Penny pulled into a nice hotel. We checked in. We got in the car, went downtown to see Tony Danessa. When we left Tony Danessa's, I said, where's our hotel? Then he says, I don't know. Tony Danessa took care of us. Thanks, Tony. Thanks for all of that. Tony drove here from Montreal, Canada.
Wow. To Stanley.
And we got a little special award for Stanley Moskowitz, the killer.
It's the Rough White Man Award.
When Stanley and Wall arrived and I met him in the lobby, I went to shake hands, and Stanley said, "Be careful, I got 8 stitches in my ear." He's still doing the same shit. The razor is sharp. Watch it. Like the plaque maker told me.
Where did you find that?
I found that in the Italian market. I said, I need them brass knuckles. They got eagle heads on it. The guy says, I got these in New York. Some tattoo artist sent me.
We have a special award for Eddie. And believe it or not, I am extremely proud to be his wife. Even though I haven't seen a tattoo on his private porch for many, many years. Thanks for being my husband and my friend.
I don't know what the clock is for, Penny, but it's my turn. Hey guys, if you bring your books up, we'll all sign them. We're running late. I think there's somebody else coming in.
One quick moment. There were a few people that couldn't be with us. One of them is Tony the Pirate, and we did have a plaque made for him, and we will mail it to him. Also is Coney Island Freddie, and very sadly to say Brooklyn Blackie, but we will send the plaque to his son. He was a great man. I met him one time and I was honored.
There's some have the tattoo contest in here now, so anybody wants to stay and watch the contest, great.